let's talk about She Said. Let me get my description up. She Said, which follows the New York Times reporters Megan Twohey and Jodie Cantor as they break the story of Harvey Weinstein's rampant sexual abuse in Hollywood. She Said has a strong ensemble cast, including Zoe Kazan, Carey Mulligan, Patricia Clarkson, Andre Brower, Samantha Morton, and Jennifer Ely, as well as my guy Adam Shapiro. Austin, I think you asked this question to me before we saw the movie, so I'll toss it right back at you. Was this one more Spotlight or Bombshell?
That was my whole mindset. From the first trailer, that was my mindset. Like, please don't be Bombshell. Please be Spotlight. And it's somewhere in the middle for me. I wasn't the biggest fan of Bombshell, so I'd probably say that was more of a negative experience. Spotlight is a 10 out of 10. I love that film so much. It nails exactly what it's trying to do. I think She Said is a very straightforward movie that conveys its messages in a way that gets them across effectively. And I was moved. I got emotional. I thought the dialogue was really well done. It doesn't do anything more with its characters in terms of making them more dynamic characters. And we're talking the two leads in particular. Kazan and Mulligan, they are both Oscar worthy, I think, or at least nomination worthy. I think they're going to campaign both of them. They're probably going to push Mulligan more, but I felt both shared the co-lead of this film evenly, and they were both great.
They do, which is weird because they've just moved Carey Mulligan into supporting, which is kind of like brazen category fraud, but at least they think she has a better shot there.
She's leading the trailer.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Unbelievable. Okay.
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah. Well, but it makes sense though, because it's 50-50 between these two characters,
really
right?
is.
So it's like, okay, well, that's probably our better shot, our better opportunity. But for me, what worked here are those little supporting performances, and some actors get one scene. Andre Brower comes in here and gets about 20 minutes towards the end. He's not really utilized early in the movie. 20 minutes towards the end that were just hilarious, added a bit of humor to the film. But some of these supporting performances here, Samantha Morton, Jennifer Ely, oh my God. And these are the scenes that push this movie, I would say, to be more Spotlight and less Bombshell, even though, again, we're going to separate those pretty far. It's still pretty far.
Somewhere on that continuum, right? Like not exactly far on either
You got
end.
a midway point now. So in case you don't want to go as drastic as Spotlight as that, you could be like, it's on this side of She Said.
It's like She Said. Yeah, it's more like She Said. One thing I do want to mention, though, the scenes where we are showing locations where something happened, and obviously we're dealing with Harvey Weinstein and these tragic events and everything that he did, but we're not showing what happened. We're just showing the rooms where it happened in, and we get dialogue. And sometimes that dialogue, we even get closed captions on screen to understand whatever. Those were the most effective scenes for me in the movie. Those got me emotionally. And I thought that decision, I wish there were more decisions like it in the film. Maria Schrader crushed those sequences. So for me, best part of the film. Yeah.
No, I think what you're speaking to is like a general lack of stylistic choices or I guess authorial judgment given to what is essentially like ripped from the headlines or ripped from the nonfiction book events, right? And like as a recounting of events, it's faithful and effective and good at demonstrating what happened, right? Yeah. But in taking it a little bit beyond that, in sort of adding some kind of cohesive elements, some sort of overarching theme, some sort of message beyond, this happens, it doesn't really do a whole lot, which is, I guess, my hesitation to give it like the full recommendation. I thought it was very good. And like you said, it's in those moments where they're maybe showing you flashes of memories or some reconstructed elements where it does try to sort of like elevate beyond just the dry script. But I was lacking a little bit of that. Where the film does succeed, like you said, is that it does have these like excellent performances and this excellent ensemble. Like there's 4 or 5 different people in this film whose parts are not big enough to really be considered for like supporting actor, supporting actress. But whatever that next level would be, they should get nominated for that. Andre Braugher is amazing in this movie, and just every line he has kind of had me. And so, I mean, I think it is good. I just think there's something missing to make it feel a little bit more transcendent. The way that, like, I felt really involved in the investigation of Spotlight, despite knowing that they get to the bottom of that case. Like, this felt a little bit more like a recounting of the details that we already know than you want from a movie like this.
Sure. And that's part of, I think, what's going to prevent it from maybe being as big when it comes to awards season, because there's nothing extra to it that's going to put it on the same level of some of these heavy competitors. I still think it gets the screenplay nom. I still think it gets the act. And honestly, Mulligan, she does have a very good shot, especially if she is supporting. But if she's supporting, like you said, these actors and actresses with 1 or 2 scenes in the movie that maybe one scene more would be in that supporting conversation, I'm like, man, Mulligan, she was in the whole movie. Like, you're going to put her in supporting. So yeah, they're kind of working their way around it. But I think she's going to have a good chance if she is in that category.
Totally.
I agree with Devesh for how he said it there. Because like you guys are describing women coming to a conclusion, but the direction not really feeling as decisive. You're talking about scenes where you don't see the trauma being done, but it's kind of alluded to. And that's women talking. Like she said, thank you for showing up for this award season, but after watching Woman Talking at Chicago, I don't know if we'll talk about it for this video, that sounds like the best version of a movie like this, that isn't just going and walking you through events, but making you feel what the characters are going through. You guys make it seem like it's almost like you're reading a Wikipedia summary of the events, and it gets to you to a certain degree, but as much as something as what's it called, by the numbers can be, as opposed to you feeling the anguish of the characters. Because Woman Talking is another one where I don't know who's the lead, I don't know who's supporting, but I know that all of them should be nominated to some degree, and you don't know who to put what in what category. But that's one that I also feel might be a stronger script to what you guys are saying. And I think also really handles the traumatic moments where the violence is really done, and not showing the violence, but alluding to the violence in a way where it's as effective and allows you to have a different conversation than what usually is the trauma, the torture that gets displayed on screen. So. Yeah.
Art, I think you nailed that, because I was talking to a lot of people after the movie, and the comparison was, and you know, not to make it a movie about women, but it was, when you talk screenplay wise, because I think they're going to be 2 heavy competitors in that category. A lot of people said Women Talking nailed it more so when it comes to the script than what she said did. So I think what you said there, Art, does apply, and I think that's going to be the conversation. And I haven't seen Women Talking, but ultimately a lot of people said Women Talking is better in its execution. So I think that's something you're going to hear as we go through award season.
Yeah. And also with films like this, I also try to think about what audience is ultimately going to get into this movie or take stuff away from this movie, and ultimately I just think this is not a movie that's going to speak beyond the people who it already appeals to, which I don't know. I don't know if that's a success or not.